Hey everybody, you know me, it's Paul with Washington Pro Carpet Cleaning. Today I've got this flat, kind of waffle styled carpet. It's that old Berber. It looks kind of like a tweed. It's got little flecks of off brown and beige. Anyway, I have the harness that goes over my shoulders and around my chest. So bear with me. I'll try and get it to aim at the right directions. Sometimes I kind of get out of view there. I am pre-spraying everything with the Green Dragon. That's the Green Dragon, no soap in it, so zero residue. Very good cleaner, safe on wool, all fabrics. You always recommended that you test an inconspicuous area. And my battery's running low on my sprayer. I can't wait to get the new Works. I got that on order. And I'll be able to put the pre-spray down a lot quicker. Although, see, I'll hold it up in the sun. You can see it's streaming out. And this is I put a new tip on the end of this while I'm waiting for the Works. The guy who recommended I order the Works sprayer on eBay. They're sold direct from the manufacturer, just refurbished, and guaranteed to work like new. Comes with a warranty. So for $57, those things run over $100 easily. But he also recommended using a 80-degree angle and an O2 opening tip. So it's a 80 O2 T-Jet, and that's what I'm using on my setup here today. I thought I'd try it out. I like the direction of the spray. I like the amount coming out. It's just not enough pressure right now, so it's take me a little while. And I have a living room, dining room, the entry, a set of stairs, and 3 bedrooms and a landing. And you could see this carpet has a lot of wear on it, especially in the traffic areas. So I am concentrating, making sure I put down my solution pretty heavy. I'm about 6 inches above the carpet when I'm spraying on those areas. And there's a couple of wear patterns that on this style carpet, if you wear it out real good, it'll show. It's almost like a shallow divot, but the main area up here by the entry to the kitchen, obviously, and coming in from the home, you can see I'm going to get all that out of there. You're going to be absolutely amazed. I was amazed. I thought for sure I'd have to put a booster in there, some sodium percarbonate or something with the Green Dragon, but no. It takes it all out. Of course, it helps. I'm using a 1.5 horsepower Mighty ECO 14-inch drive with an 18-inch Zinger pad. And I brought the fiber pads in with me just in case. I thought, yeah, it's going to probably take an extra scrub, but to my surprise, the scrubbing strips on the Zinger pads were plenty. It got everything moving out in the right direction. You will notice a few things popping and pinging here. The maid service had just left when I arrived, and they had vacuumed, and it smelled really good in there. They cleaned. However, a lot of stuff was, I guess, lodged along the wall boards and in the carpet, and so I am going to include a post-vacuuming. You'll see that here at the end of this cleaning session, and then I'll show you the results. And I did the post-vacuuming after I cleaned upstairs. I did bring the Mighty all the way upstairs and did the 3 rooms in the hallway with the Mighty. And with that new handle, that blue handle on there, it helps me to pull it up the stairs a lot easier and feel like I have a little more support. So I'm pretty happy about that. And there's a few closets obviously involved here. But overall, not too bad. We're sitting at about 5.5 minutes pre-spray, which for the living room, dining room, and this entry hall is not too bad. Probably take 6 or 7 minutes. Once I get the works, man, I'm sure that thing will put out a lot more solution and I'll be done in half the time. But we'll get this laid in there. A little bit of dwell time. It's already dwelling back there where I sprayed it. I'll go back over just to make sure I have plenty of solution down. And if you're trying to learn carpet cleaning, the water or the solution is the vehicle that transfers the soil into the pads. So you absolutely have to have, enough pre-spray on there to what they call suspend the soil. And the Green Dragon will actually go in there and I think it's a mild form of encapsulation or soil suspension. Will pull everything out of the fiber and leave it in suspension so that when I come through with the Zinger pad and the scrubbing strips, I'll be able to draw it up with the heat and the friction and the material in the pad. And the beautiful thing about these Zinger pads are you may not see as much dark soil on the pad when I'm done like you would on my Cotton Ironman pads. But the reason that you don't see as much soil on the pad, you'll see soil, but it absorbs into that sponge. There's a sponge probably about half the size of a thumb, unless you got real big hands. But I mean, it's thick, almost an inch thick, and it absorbs a ton of soil. So that being said, that's why when I get the Works sprayer, I'll demonstrate that for you. Obviously, you don't want to be too afraid that you're going to over wet the carpets, because you got to remember, if you're using the proper mist or the proper tip like the AD02 I'm using, you can tell by looking at the actual level in the pump-up sprayer as you go along. So I know that, I'm probably getting a good gallon down out of the 2 gallons in the sprayer. I'll use about half of that sprayer down here in the living room, dining room, and the hall area. But that is your, that's the vehicle that transfers the soil from the carpet to the pad, is your solution. So keep that in mind. Make sure you apply the proper amount. And obviously, something like Green Dragon or Fire Dragon, where there's no soap, means you're going to leave 0 residue behind, which is fantastic. And I very, very rarely have to boost it. If I do boost it, I don't boost it with any soap. I boost it with sodium percarbonate, which sodium percarbonate, for those of you that don't know what sodium percarbonate is, and you don't want to confuse it with sodium carbonate or anything else, because that's like soda ash and other things. Sodium percarbonate is the powdered form of hydrogen peroxide. So if I had a really nasty job to do and I wanted to boost it, I'd probably throw about 2 to 4 ounces of sodium percarbonate along in the 2-gallon sprayer with my 8 ounces of a Green Dragon. And that kind of turns it into the Dragon Fire, or the Fire Dragon, because the Fire Dragon is similar to Green Dragon, but it's boosted with an oxy or oxygen, which is basically what hydrogen peroxide is. And you can buy sodium percarbonate by the 5-pound bag from the NCAP store as well. I know I'm getting a lot of comments that Damon's out of a lot of products. He's out of the Zinger pads, the 13-inch, and the bigger ones. He's out of a couple of the cleaners and stuff. I know he's got stuff on order every day, so all I could say is, just keep an eye on the website, and you could give him a call and get a number and text him and say, hey, text me when the product's in, or email me when the product's in. I'm sure he'd be happy to do something like that for you. But I always make sure I order when he has stuff in stock, order ahead. And even if you have to wait, it's well worth the wait. The products are awesome. And the mere fact that you're not using anything with a soap in it, but yet you're getting these fantastic results, can give you peace of mind. I mean, I leave a job and I know if I were to come back and look at it a week later, it's still going to look the way I left it. It's going to look nice. And, I'm a die-hard steam cleaner. I did truck mount, portables. And when I first heard of this VLM process, I thought it was a joke. You're just spinning the dirt everywhere. I watched a couple of guys use an Auric Orbiter, and actually kind of enticed me to try it out on a few of the jobs I had, and I ended up doing about 95% VLM, and I did it all with the Auric Orbiter. You can do it. It just takes a little longer. You have to change pads more frequently. You definitely want to use the right chemical, or you will be leaving a residue and getting callbacks. But the Auric Orbiter and the Green Dragon is an awesome combo, for the mere fact that the Green Dragon is your all-in-one. You don't have to worry if you're new, if you're on wool carpet or delicate fabrics. It's a 8.5 pH on the pH scale, but it's low enough it's not going to do any damage. I use it on all my area wool rugs that I do, and cotton sofa I did last week. I used it on that, no problem, came out beautiful. Again, the main problem with wool is, soap products are high pH. If you use a soapy product, it's going to absorb into that delicate fabric, and then you're going to have problems. So, Green Dragon, it's all done for you. You don't have to worry about it. And when you are mixing at between 4 to 8 ounces, you get a 6-pound jar. I think there's 16 ounces to a pound. So that jar will get you through tons of jobs and worry-free. And I've had customers that worry about the product being green or what you're using these days, and I've actually showed them the jar. I bring it in. I say, here it is, read the label. Just make sure I get it back, And they're quite pleased to be able to see the product and read the label. It's a really safe product. So enough of the Green Dragon, going off onto a tangent there. But I just like to be helpful because I've tried everything myself. And when you're mixing crap up, or you're devising stuff, you're taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that. To me, it's just more of a hassle rather than to just carry, one jar on your truck. If you need, something to boost, you can get a 5-pound bag of sodium percarbonate. That kills everything organic. Or you could do like some of these guys. They go to Sally's Beauty Supply and get 20 volume peroxide, which is basically the same thing. It's straight hydrogen peroxide at a 6% level. Or if you're like me and you don't like paying for water, I get all my products in powdered form and I mix it myself. I carry a little bucket, and everybody's got hot water at their house, and a little spatula to stir everything up, and away I go. So, and it doesn't freeze. A lot of times products will freeze. If you're in a cold enough area, that's a problem. Actually can change the molecular level of some of those cleaning products and make them not as effective. So just keep that in mind. Warm water between 140, 160 degrees out of the tap is probably best for the cleaning agents to work properly. Anything higher than that, and you could be again messing with the compound by getting it too hot. I think it even recommends 140 to 160. I'm not sure. But here I'm just going over this, and while I'm cleaning the areas that I sprayed a little heavier, the traffic areas, they may appear a little darker. That's because they're more damp. And you could see stuff flying around. Again, I'm going to post vacuum. That's another question I get. People will say, why don't you stop and pick stuff up? I see stuff flying around or whatever. The reason I don't stop and pick it up is because I plan on doing it at the end of the job. If there's a stain or a spot that didn't come out, after I'm completely done, I'll come back, spray it, treat it, do whatever I got to do, blot it up with a towel. I carry a small shop vac, a 1-gallon vac that I can bring in and carry around, and I've got an edger tool so I can suck up anything that flew around. So I don't leave that stuff. And also, here's a tip from my carpet cleaning friends. The dollar store, Dollar Tree, sells, I'll have to show you mine in tomorrow's video, but I picked up, it looks like a Swiffer, but it's Velcro, and it has microfiber pads that Velcro onto the bottom. And I picked that up, and I also picked up a cheap broom that was right there. So $1 for a broom and $1 for the Swiffer. And what I found was sometimes where I'm at with all the pine needles and leaves, I'll bring them in and I'll wipe my feet off at the door. I always bring a towel in so I can wipe my feet off before I go in. Or if I do have shoe booties, if some people, they do request shoe booties, and I'll put my shoe booties on, no problem. And if I do that, then I just usually bring my moving blanket, little 5x7, and I'll put that at the entry, and I'll bring all my tools in to the front door area, and then I'll slip my shoe booties on. That way I'm not going in and out and taking them off and on. But anyway, the dollar store, I'll show those to you tomorrow. They're awesome. What I found is, because this is a powerful machine, it will tend to flick up anything if there's hair beat into the carpet. With these Zinger pads, because they have the scrubbing strips, they'll pull up more of that embedded hair, even though you vacuum. And what happens is it flips it onto the white wall boards, the trim. And I found this out. One of my really good customers, I did her house a couple weeks ago with this machine. And she took a picture of it and called me and asked if I knew what was going on. And of course I went back and I hand wiped everything down. But to my surprise, there was a lot of little particles and hair that had come up. She has cats. And I never noticed it when I was working, but it was all over the white trim, all the wall boards in all the rooms. And this house is a $1.5 million home, so I was like, oh gosh. But I was grateful that she called me, because now I see it. I know what I'm looking for, and I certainly don't want to leave that on anyone's home. And that's what that little microfiber pad on the Swiffer, it's good. Some guys call it a doodle bug. But anyway, I can go along, it turns to the side, and I can clean up all the edges on the wall boards where it's picked up some of that stuff or flicked stuff up there. And being that it's microfiber, it's a gray microfiber pad. The all gray one is the one I use. And it actually pulls and adheres, the stuff on the hair and crap adheres to the pad. So I don't have to get down on my hands and knees or anything. I just run along the wall boards with it and make sure everything's cleaned up nicely. And I have used it as a doodle bug in corners. Look at that to the right of me. Do you guys see that? I mean, it was just as black right there to the right as what I'm on right now. Watch this piece of wallboard fly off, and I'll have to repair it. Oop, there it goes. Oh, the life of a carpet cleaner. But anyway, you'll see, look at that. And I am going to go over this section a couple times with a couple different pads just to get as much soil out as I can, because I know there's kitchen grease and grime and whatnot from in and out of that kitchen. But this Zinger pad is just doing work. I mean, it is going hard in the paint. Look at that. Just killing the game. Amazing. And absorbing like crazy. I mean, you know me, I'm the Iron Man advocate. I love Iron Man cotton pads. I like the Gladiator pads, the all cotton. I just can't believe, and I did look at this on the tag today, and it is a blend of, what is it now? It's polyester. I think it's 75% polyester. And then it's probably 15% polypropylene and maybe 5% nylon spandex, whatever it is. But I mean, it's amazing. I could go on about these Zinger pads forever as well. And I know, of course, it has something to do with the machine as well. However, when I use my Zinger pads with my Auric, I get really good results as well. I've been using this 13-inch Zinger pad to do stairs, and it's just phenomenal. And that little dark mark you see right there, that's a shadow from the hose. You see it right there? That's not dirt. You can see where the shadow protrudes over to the linoleum. So everything's coming out fantastic. We'll take a look at the pad, and I will tell you that this machine is so easy to use. I mean, you could use 2 fingers to maneuver it around. Let me show you the contrast. You see what I mean? How it doesn't show black, but you see the difference in the white and the gray. And the reason it doesn't show as black as an Iron Man pad or a cotton pad is because the dirt's not remaining on the surface of the pad. It's actually absorbing into the sponge within the pad. And I'll have to do a demo one day where I take that sponge and put it in a 5-gallon bucket of warm water and just wring it out. You won't believe how much soil and dirt comes out. It's almost the same as using a portable extractor when you dump it. You can see all the garbage. So here I've flipped the pad over. I'll take a little bit of time and I'll just go back over this area again with the clean side of the pad. And you'll see, like I said, it'll appear darker while it's damp, but you will see the extra effort I'm putting in. You'll see the results at the end of the video. It's just phenomenal. And the machine, you can hear it's so quiet and easy to operate. It's enjoyable to use, so it's almost therapeutic. I'm not in a hurry. I'm just kind of going over and over. And I found I'm not spending as much time as I thought I was. I've been tracking my time. I write my start time on my work order before I start on my clipboard. And then when I'm completely finished and ready to get paid, I'll write the time that I finish, just up in code on the top. Nobody knows what it means but me, and I can see that on average I probably spend about 30 minutes per rim, which is normal. That's what I used to tell people when I steam cleaned. I usually do 20 to 30 minutes a rim depending on how heavily soiled it is. So it's not costing me any extra time. which is nice. The chrome on this machine is just incredible too. It looks like a monster truck with the wheels and then all the chrome, and it's pretty impressive. And it's funny because customers notice it when I bring it in. You know, they comment, "Oh wow, that's a big machine. That's a nice machine." Or some of them know what floor buffers are, and they ask me, "Is that a floor buffer?" And I show them how it orbits instead of rotates like a rotary. Although a rotary does fantastic too. I own one of those. But I kind of show them and explain to them what process I'm doing, and they're quite impressed. The only bad thing about the machine here, being that it's so big and everything, you do get a lot of crap, like carpet fiber and other stuff, that flies up onto the surface of the machine. That around that you can see the blue bumper guard, that flat part there, and then the armature, those things. You get a lot of crap in there. You get a lot of crap that gets embedded underneath the Malish pad driver, and you get a lot of crap that gets embedded around the inside of those big wheels. So you do have to clean it out. I keep a little brush and some Windex at the back of the van, and we're just constantly cleaning it out. But I can't believe how much stuff. You definitely don't want to bring it into a client's home all filthy, and because like I said, the first thing they're doing is they're judging you. They're looking at the machine and evaluating. You know, you want a nice clean van out there, and you want clean products, clean machines. You know, if you have to wear shoe booties, a blanket or something, walk off mats, it all stacks up and is part of the service that they're paying for, and people notice all this stuff. So very important. But yeah, I wish it would stay clean longer. But it's just constantly cleaning it off. I had heard somebody, or I watched a video, I think a YouTube video, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was changing the bearing, I believe, on this machine. And his comment was, now he used to hose it off at the end of every job, and he thinks that hosing it off caused the problem with the bearing or whatever underneath there, because he was hosing up underneath it as well. I can see why. I mean, I feel like I should power wash it at the end of every night, but I think he's right. I think by doing that, getting too much water on the machine and in the machine, he caused problems. So it's best just to brush it out. Use a rag. I have a bunch of microfiber pads that sometimes I use on my work orbiter instead of regular pads. I bought those, I think it's probably been 6 months ago. I did a video where you could get a bag of 15, I think, for $10. So they were cheap, thick, nice thick microfiber pads. But again, the microfiber picks up and the stuff adheres to the pad. So you can wipe out your machine a lot quicker without stuff, transferring and dropping other places. And then if you're in a cold climate like me and it gets high, 100% humidity, a lot of rain, I leave my equipment on my van at night, lock it up. Sometimes I park it in my garage if I feel the need to, but I noticed that I was getting a dew buildup around the chrome. I was worried that might cause some damage, so I started wrapping a towel around the motor every night. And then that way, when I go to the next job, I pull that towel off and there's no buildup of dew or what do you call it? Not participation. Funny how you lose your mind sometimes. Precipitation. Yeah, precipitation. None of that going on, which is good. So now I'm going to come around and come back up the entry here. So I'm going to kind of move this cord around. You see how the cord's lit up on both ends. It's lit up at the plug, and it's also lit up on the machine, which is awesome. I love it. And then I'll have to show you too the process I use to wind up my cord. Oh my gosh, thank goodness to YouTube. I was getting it all tangled up. It was pissing me off. I watched an old farmer guy, and he showed how to take a long extension cord, and instead of just like looping it straight loops, you actually kind of tuck it each time. And I'll do a video on it for you guys, and you're going to be amazed, because then you can lay out a 100-foot extension cord, or this one's 50 foot, and just walk away with one end, and it just uncoils. It's like a coiling system. It's, so much better. I'll have to do a video on it to explain it, but absolutely love it. I've been doing all my cords that way. All right. And it proves, with YouTube, man, it's like you have your own, I guess, point of reference, or I can't remember who it was, if it was Dale Carnegie or one of these successful guys was in court, and they asked him questions, and they said, how could he be, such a rich person and not know these easy answers? And his response was, on my desk I have 5 buttons, and if I need any answers to this particular subject, I'll push this button and the guy will come running. And if I have legal questions, I'll push this button and another guy will come running. I don't want to clog my own mind up with all these different categories. I would rather pay somebody and have them readily available professionals. And in a way, you and I don't have to pay anybody. We just pick up our cell phones and we go to YouTube or we go to Google, and we have answers immediately. Sometimes you don't want to take the first information you find. You want to plow through it and see what the best information is, try it out. But you could see I do it every day. I was having issues with rolling these cords up. It was bothering me. And the cords are really fat. They're heavy and they're thick. I mean, before I figured out how to coil them up, I was considering using a little 16 gauge orange cord. Probably create a fire. That would be a hazard. The machine would probably overheat. But anyway, I wouldn't have really done that. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, boy, those thin cords, and then as you work, they heat up a little bit, so they're more pliable and they're easier to roll. So we do have lots of information available. A lot of times people will ask me certain questions, and I'll think, why didn't they just Google that? You know what I mean? You can Google pretty much anything. I don't mind answering questions, but some of the real basic, simple stuff, I'm just Googling it anyway. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to Google it and study it. I love to learn. I love to read. Constantly reading different books. I love to keep myself informed on what's happening in our industry. The carpet cleaning industry is $1 billion industry. And, one day I might decide to expand again, especially with this VLM. I did it with truck mounts. I had the largest amount of trucks I had was 14 trucks. And of course, I'll always go back to, I increased the amount of trucks, increased the amount of overhead. I had payroll, I had taxes, I had to pay, what is it called when someone gets hurt on the job? Workman's comp and sick leave. It was like, oh man, a lot of times people, you would get them trained and then they would leave, and those are, it's a large investment, and or they would mistreat your equipment. And back then, we were, gosh, put a guy in a van was $25,000-$30,000 with a complete truck mount setup and everything, and that was early 90s. But with these, I'm thinking, man, this machine, I think he sells it for $15.99. You get the machine, and you get pads, you get chemicals, you get a marketing kit. I could afford to go into business this way. I mean, it would take me, I would have to buy, gosh, probably 40 of these to equal a truck mount. So I could easily get 6 guys working. I could even use the Oric Orbiter. But I like this machine. I like the ease of it, and I think I could train somebody. So, and I'm not getting any younger. I'm not old by no means. My family members all live to 100 plus years old. My grandma recently passed away. She was 99. She was 2 months away from 100. And so I'm just turned 54. So I'm looking forward to at least another 40 years, maybe 50 years of life, I hope. But the physicality does play a toll unless you're really, really healthy and you stay fit, which I'm definitely planning on getting on a program here soon. Maybe look for some kind of weightlifting program for people over 50 or over 40 and get involved in that once the gyms reopen. And because, I don't have a desire to ever retire. I've seen one person that is a family member that when he actually retired when he was 70. He was ex-military. It's an uncle of mine, ex-military, had a retirement, he did some security, I think, out in Las Vegas, Nevada, for the Golden Gate Casino back then. Then he decided he was going to completely retire. And for being a very active guy who used to fish, hunt, go shooting, and play pool and do stuff, he immediately took to the recliner. And he started watching, these news channels that just fill your head with so much garbage and make you sick. I don't know how anyone could function watching the news every day. So he sat in that chair, and in 3 years, he ended up getting sick and passed away. And I think it's just because of lack of activity. And just when you retire, that's the time you go, you do your fishing, your hunting, you visit people, travel. And I know some people don't have the luxury of doing that. Hopefully I do. I'm saving money. But I feel retired right now. I only do a couple jobs a day. I fish, I hunt, I go see my grandkids, I do what I want to do. I travel and play around. So there's no retirement for me. I don't want to retire. I guess I'm already retired. So we'll let this dry a little bit and then come back and I'll show you the results. It'll look even better. Okay, there you go. I redid this part of the video so that the background noise was not as loud. You'd be able to hear what I was saying while I was doing this segment. I left the vacuuming portion off on this one so that you would not have to watch that again. If you're interested in watching the full video with all the background noise where I'm trying to talk over the machine, that's the previous video. Appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.